old Billy fucking Twinkle Toes is going to go work out now. Keep it going. It's been a tough week here, you know, for obvious reasons. We lost Norm Macdonald this week, which was just, you know, I had no idea that he was even sick. And he's a guy that I knew a little bit. I was definitely friendly with him. If we saw each other, we said hello and we shot the shit, but it wasn't like someone that I talked to on the phone or anything. And I was such a huge fan of his, and I would just always end up running into him. And he just always had that smile on his face. Like, as you talk to him, he would have that smile. Just a really great, warm guy. And I remember, I was trying to think what Norm's story to tell you. This one isn't necessarily funny. It was just sort of random. I went out to go see Bill Cosby in concert right before all the bullshit happened out in Pasadena. And he played this theater out there, which interestingly enough was where they had the 25th anniversary of Motown celebration, which is the first place Michael Jackson publicly did the moonwalk. I saw Bill Cosby at that theater. And I remember they had it all set up where, like, they almost built him like a little living room. He had like an Archie Bunker type chair, a little square rug, and then like a side table where he put his water. And he just came walking out, and there was the mic. There was no mic stand. It was just sitting on the chair. And he just came out. You know how he kind of walked a little bent over? Came walking out, waved to everybody, sat down, picked up the mic, and for like almost 2 hours, just, you know, hour and a half, just killed. Just fucking killed. Had the crowd in the palm of his hand. Masterclass of stand-up, right? So I leave with my lovely wife, and I go out front, and who's standing there is Norm Macdonald. He was like, hey, Bill, hey, how you doing? And I talked. It was like, no, what's going on? I was so psyched that he knew my name and all of that stuff, and I think I had met him before. And then we just stood there talking about comedy and how amazing it was to see Bill Cosby and how good he still was. Like I said, this was before all the bullshit happened. And my admiration for the guys, it went even higher. That, you know, I understood why I was there, but I thought Norm was so good that he didn't need to be there. And he was still there, still trying to learn and everything. And I was thinking, like, wow, this is why this guy is so fucking amazing. And, you know, he's just was somebody that you couldn't just watch one video of him. Like, you know, I was saying to Verzi how, like, guys like Ric Flair, Norm Macdonald, there's a few people, if you click on their videos, it's like, say goodbye to the next 2 hours of your life, because everything that they did is so interesting and so different and so funny. And one of my favorite Norm Macdonald things that he ever did, you know, because so many people like pretend that they don't give a fuck, you know, both in my business and in other businesses. You got I don't give a fuck. Hey, you know me. I don't give a fuck. You know, those people that advertise them. Like, that guy clearly, in the best way, didn't give a fuck. He really cared about people and stuff, but like he did what he wanted to do. And when he was on SNL, how big a gig that was, because there was so few channels. The internet hadn't blown up yet. And even with basic cable and everything, I mean, it was still, if you were on Saturday Night Live and you were doing Weekend Update, it was one of the most coveted gigs a comedian could have. And you were part of this lineage of, you know, at that point it was, you know, Chevy Chase, Jane Curtin, right on through to Dennis Miller's reign when he did it. And, you know, did Colin Quinn come after? I think Colin came after, but it was always just like the best of the best comics that they had doing it, and continued on with Tina Fey and all of them. And no one's walking away from that job. And if some suit at NBC tells you they don't like the jokes you're doing and be funnier, you know, you're shaking in your, I'd be like, oh, fuck, you know, I'm going to lose this big gig. I don't want to get fired. I don't want to piss these people off or whatever. I guess he was doing all those OJ jokes, and somebody, I forget how the story went. There was somebody there that knew OJ or something and was telling Norm to back off and move on to something else. So what does Norm do? He just doubles down and he just does even more OJ jokes, which is like, you know, the balls that took to do that. And he ended up losing the gig. He got fired. And people loved him and he was fucking hilarious, but he didn't back down to the big fucking guy over there, and he ended up losing the gig. So, as luck would have it, I think it was Dirty Work, came out like a year and a half later or so. So he has to promote it, and he's on the press thing. So Lauren has him back and has him host the show. And I remember he went out there, and his opening joke, he just comes out. And he was just like, something like this. Yeah, it's good to be back. I actually got fired from this show about a year and a half ago because they said I wasn't funny. And now here I am. I'm hosting the show. So that means one of two things. Either I got a lot funnier or this show sucks. And then he had that big shit-eating grin on his face, and he started laughing. And then he proceeded to do a bunch of OJ jokes. And it was just like that fucking thing about him. And the whole time, I just felt the whole time when people were fucking with him or whatever and trying to take what he had, he always just still had that smile on his face, and he just still did exactly what he wanted to do. And I got so much respect for him. And I feel so fortunate that I got to see him live. So I remember, oh my God, I saw him right after 9/11. The Aspen after 9/11. Aspen Comedy Festival was this big fucking festival that was always a nightmare to get in and out of. Every year it would snow and people would get stuck in Denver, or you get snowed in, you couldn't get out. It was a fucking nightmare. And then as a comedian, you had to perform. It was like a mile higher than fucking Denver, and no one could breathe, and you're performing in front of all these super fucking rich people in front of industry, and you just go up and you would eat your fucking balls, and you're like, why did I come out here? And I remember I saw Joe Rogan do a full set that I still remember, and then I saw Norm Macdonald. It was at the same theater, and I remember Norm came out, and he was doing bits on racial profiling and all of this stuff. I'm not going to butcher the guy's bits, but I remember just watching that full set, and I was like, this guy is one of the greatest comedians I've ever seen in my life. And I thought that every time I saw him. And I don't know. It was a pleasure to know the guy, even on a little level. Just a massive, massive, massive loss to not have him around. And especially now with all of this stupid fucking cancel culture horseshit that is going on, which has way, way, way overstepped its bounds. As it always happens, no matter who's behind it, it always ends up, starting off with something that makes sense, and then that becomes the overreach, and then it just becomes like, hey, is it me, or did you literally become what the fuck you were trying to stop? And we, I don't know, as a comedian, really needed a guy like Norm out there to be eviscerating it and making fun of it and still doing what the fuck you want to do. So if there's any other young comics out there, if you want to see how it's done, watch that guy, because he was the real deal. All right? So tired here. And once again, rest in peace to the great Norm Macdonald. Just truly, without a doubt, one of the greatest stand-up comedians I ever saw in my life. And just such a great guy. And it's just so sad that he won't be around anymore. But I actually got off the plane in a better mood from just watching literally the beauty of who he was and his work. When I got off the plane, I was actually like, I don't know, there's something about him. I just thought he understood life. Just a really warm guy. God damn it. It's always those guys that go. So there's your lesson. Don't be nice. You'll live forever.